Alright guys, so today this has to be done, guys. It has to be done. I'm taking a break from my normal schedule today to just talk about the miracle that is Leicester City today. It's just too big to be ignored, this. It really is, guys. It really is too big to be ignored. Today I was planning on putting a FIFA Street 2 episode out. And I'm just sat here thinking, how can I do that today? I can't think about anything else but this fairy tale story, and how is this? In this day and age, just how has this happened? Do you know what I mean? So I think today we're going to have maybe just a quick little look at some of it and just look at the story behind this. It's incredible. 2 games to go in the season. Leicester have done it. They're Premier League champions 2016. And who would have thought this? 5,000 to 1 at the start of the season. I'm pretty sure you all know. Everybody's been talking about it already. But I just want to go over this a little bit. But at the start of the season, okay, fair enough. They were playing Sunderland. Sunderland have been flirting with relegation for God knows how many years now. And even I said on that first day of the season, because weren't they like 3 up or something like that against Sunderland pretty quickly, if I remember? And I was like, Sunderland can't really stay in this league much longer, But Sunderland's still fighting for it right now, so they've shut me up a little bit. But it's not about them, 4-2 against Sunderland. Amazing stuff. Then they've beaten West Ham, right, the same month, 2-1. They've gone to West Ham. And how many teams have gone there and won, this season? Not that many, I think Bournemouth did, didn't they? And Leicester have. And, the way West Ham have played this season, that is an amazing result. Then we move on to the 22nd of August. They played Tottenham at home. Who would have thought on the 22nd of August it would have been Leicester and Tottenham right there, sort of right at the end of it? Do you know what I mean? It's just insane. It really is insane. We move a bit forward. They drew to Bournemouth, but Bournemouth, to be fair, have had a really good season. So, hats off to Bournemouth because, they're going to be in the league again next season. Then they were against, and everybody talks about this match, Aston Villa on the 13th of September. They were 2-0 down after about 70 minutes, and then they just pulled it back out of nowhere. And it's that kind of spirit. That's the kind of stuff that you need, in your squad. Stoke have had a pretty good season as well. They played them straight afterwards, and it was 2-2 in the end. A fair result, to be honest, because Stoke have got a pretty good squad. And whatnot. Then there was that sort of infamous game against Arsenal, where they lost 5-2 at home, and that's like, after that result you sat there and thinking, maybe they've been brought down to earth a little bit there, and they're just going to go on, and at that point, by the end of September, you're sort of thinking, I think they'll stay up because they've had a really good opening start and whatnot, and you don't really think anything much of it. It gets into October, and they beat Norwich City 2-1. Okay, Norwich promoted side. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Then they've played Southampton, it was 2-2. They've beat Palace 1-0. Palace have had a pretty good first half of the season. It's all gone a bit wrong since January time. So, a good win there. Then they've played West Brom, where they won 3-2 on Halloween. So, okay, 3-2. West Brom, for me, haven't had a great season. Then they've beaten Watford. Watford, who were looking absolutely amazing at the start of the season, never looked in trouble of going down at all. Same with Palace, but now come towards the end of the season, Watford and Palace sort of declined a bit. Then they've beaten Newcastle 3-0, and that's when everybody started to get really sort of like, yeah, come on, Vardy, because that was, I think, the 10th game where Vardy is put one into the net. And I remember specifically watching the Leicester v United game at the end of November, thinking, come on Vardy, come on, go on, get the 11th one, beat Van Nistelrooy's record. And it happened, and it's like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Wow. How, that's something, It's sort of towards the end of November/December, people starting to sort of believe they could do this, Then again, there's a lot of people who sat there and sort of thought, even including myself, and I will admit it, I thought that eventually it's going to end up being one of those where it's going to collapse eventually. They can't keep this up all season. It's just, it's been a bit of a miracle, really. You know what I mean? It'll finish soon. It kind of reminds me of, because I support Hull City as well, guys, and that's my hometown. And when we got into the Premier League the first time, we had this amazing run, and we was like second or third in the league, something like that, come Christmas Day or something. And it's like, and then it eventually collapsed and kind of broke down, and we won't talk about the rest of it, but and it's like, that kind of thing I think will happen. Chelsea was the next game after they beat Swansea 3-0 in early December. And to be honest, I'm thinking, I reckon Leicester can do this. If all these other teams in the league can beat Chelsea this season, under Mourinho, Mourinho has this thing where the third season, just everything goes to hell, doesn't it? It just all goes to hell, and he just can't do anything. And then they played Chelsea and they win 2-1 with a great Mahrez goal, and I'm thinking, you know what, they've really got a half a chance here. Then the 19th of December, just before Christmas, 3-2 against Everton, and you think, when is this going to end? They lose, though. They lose to Liverpool. Get it? Go on. But they lose to Liverpool on Boxing Day. One of the only teams one of three teams to beat them. In fact, no. One of two teams, because it was Arsenal both times that beat them. Liverpool with the other team to beat them. So and then they drew to Man City 0-0, which is a fair result, to be honest, to end the year off with. Then they drew again to Bournemouth. So, Bournemouth have done pretty good there to pick up a couple of points against them. And then there was kind of that little saga that they had with Tottenham, wasn't there? Because there was like the FA Cup, and then there was, that went into a replay. They lost that to Tottenham after the 2-2 in the first meeting. And then there was the Premier League game where, to be honest, Tottenham won the cup game overall, but they lost the league game. Leicester actually won 1-0 at White Hart Lane, and to be honest, who'd have thought that would have been such a big result at that point? You know what I mean? It was a pretty big game as I remember it, but here we are. They drew 1-1 to Aston Villa in the middle of January, and to be honest, guys, I was thinking that is a really bad result, that, because they're a team that's been fighting relegation. They look like they're certain to go down, Aston Villa, and then they just pull it out of the bag and make it 1-1. And to be honest, I'm sat there thinking that is 2 points drop there. That is really not what should have happened. You know what I mean? They had to do a little bit better than that. But nonetheless, they got a point. You just move on. They come back and they thrash Stoke 3-0. You know what I mean? Maybe Stoke were another one of those teams who haven't been doing so great sort of in the second half of the season. Then they play Liverpool 2nd of February. That Vardy goal, even I sort of was thinking, you know what, I'm just going to applaud that. I'm just going to applaud it. They deserved it. I wasn't really bothered about it, to be honest, that much. And then one of the biggest significant games of the season for me, Manchester City away. And I couldn't believe it. I really wasn't they 3-up at one point in that game? And it's like they've gone to the Etihad and gone like 3 goals up. What? Explain that. Do you know what I mean? Like, how often does that happen? You know what I mean? It's like Liverpool went there a couple of months prior to this. In fact, no, about 3 months. 3 months ago from this, and I think we won 4-1. And I was like, wow, you know what I mean? I couldn't believe that. I thought that's not going to happen again for a very long time, I don't think. And Manchester City haven't been all that great at home this season, to be honest. And then it's like they've beaten them 3-1. It just looks so easy. That Mahrez goal as well it was crazy. And I think that was the point in the season for everyone, where everybody just sort of sat there and said, right, you know what, they are very serious about this title. They could go on and easily do this now. But then we sort of had the crunch game after it on Valentine's Day, the week after against Arsenal, and I thought, well, if they can beat and I think they went 1-0 up, didn't they? And I thought, if they could beat Arsenal, this is it, because Arsenal were pushing for the title pretty much up till about that point, and then it's kind of gone downhill for Arsenal sort of since then. And they lost that one right at the end of the game, and you sort of sat there and thought, that only if they had just held on to it, you know what I mean? And again, they responded by beating Norwich 1-0. Only 1-0. And there was a lot of games where they only won 1-0 actually in the build-up to this title victory. They drew 2-2 to West Brom, which was kind of a bad result. But at the end of the day, it's not too bad of a result, I suppose. And then they've gone to what these were the games right here. These were the games right here where I sort of sat there and thought, you know what, they've got to go to Watford, they've got to go to Crystal Palace, and I'm sort of sat there thinking, I'm not too sure about this. I'm really not too sure about this. Are they really going to go there and do it? You know what I mean? And they got the goal, and I'm thinking, well, that's good. But, there's a lot. Nowadays, it's kind of like a lot of teams that, I don't know, you see a lot of comebacks these days. You know what I mean? And I'm sat there thinking it's only a matter of time before Watford get one here, I think. And the same with the Crystal Palace game as well. They had Newcastle at home on the 14th of March, and they got through that one pretty easily. I suppose. I mean, well, it was only 1-0, but again, Newcastle in danger sort of thing. Wasn't that around the time they brought in Benitez? I want to say, was it towards the end of March they brought him in? Sort of around that time. And then they play Southampton at the beginning of April, and I'm sort of thinking at that point, I'm thinking this is going to be it now. Is this where it's all going to go shebang, really, and it's going to collapse? And no, they beat Southampton. Southampton have got a fantastic team, and it's like, it's another result they've pulled out of the bag, and it's like, how is this just continuing for so long? Like, seriously, they've got to do this now. They just have to. They go to Sunderland are in danger of relegation. They beat them 2-0 in the end. I think it was 1-0, and then Vardy got that goal right at the end to finish it off. Then there was the West Ham game straight after it, and to be honest, when West Ham got them 2 goals back towards the end, I thought this is it now, because I think that was the game they lost Vardy as well, wasn't it? I believe, I think it was, and I'm sort of sat there thinking, this is it, isn't it? It's just going to go wrong right at the end here, and I was really hoping that it didn't. I really hoping that it just wouldn't. And it didn't. You know what I mean? They responded. To be honest, it was very lucky, and there's a lot of views about the penalty incident right at the end of that game. You know what I mean? You can say what you want about it, but what is done, and I guess you just can't. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying things like, referees are supporting the fairy tale, in quotation marks, and you know what I mean? They've had to swap out referees and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, yeah. But they responded. Didn't even Vardy, they didn't even need him. You know what I mean? They thrashed Swansea 4-0 straight after that, and then there's the Man United game. And to be honest, I had Leicester down to pretty much win the United game, or at least get the draw, which they did in the end. I didn't honestly see them losing it. You know what I mean? The way United have played all season, I didn't see them losing it. And it's like, that's it now. So if Spurs do beat Chelsea, that's it. That's it. It's game over. That's it. That it's going to continue for another week. Maybe they can win it against Everton on the Saturday night. And as it turns out, Tottenham really did throw that result away, though. In my opinion, like, they just, I don't know. Again, it's like one of those things where the other, the team that you do, because a lot of people thought that Chelsea were going to win that game, and I myself thought that they might win. If not, it might just be the draw. I didn't actually see Tottenham really winning it, but when they went 2 up, that's when I thought, actually, you know what, Tottenham, if they can just keep this up now, they'll prolong it and that. But Eden Hazard just comes back out of nowhere after about 12 months. Well, more like 11. But, and just pops up with this goal that ends it for him. And it's done. What's done is done now. Because one of the things was that I was a bit worried for Leicester in the terms of the goal difference, because Tottenham do have the better goal difference overall, and I thought if Leicester are going to win this, they're going to have to win it on points, because goal difference is just not their friend this season, unfortunately. But yeah, it's not being about at Tottenham. They had that result against Arsenal the other month, 2-2. They had the result against West Brom. Then they had the result against Chelsea last night. And to be honest, it's the games like them that have let them down in the end. And it's not good. It's not good. You've just got to push for it. At this point in the season, you've just got to go for it. You just got to win as many games as possible to get where you need to be. Just by that stage of the season, the players that are in the team should know where they need to be, when they need to be, know their positions, know the game plan off by heart pretty much, and should just get on with it. How many times do we see that down the year? Look at Chelsea last season, for example, etc. They just know where they all are, where they need to play. They don't need telling pretty much by sort of April time, do you? You don't need telling. And it's like, Leicester, Ranieri, I think he has made the least amount of changes to the team out of any manager in the Premier League, I believe, this season. And it's like, if something works, why change it? And that's maybe that's one of the things that he's done. Maybe that's why, because you see a lot of these big managers like, Arsene Wenger, Van Gaal. Well, to be honest, Manchester United this season, to be fair, have had quite a lot of injuries. So, you can see why they've had to make changes, and the injuries do happen at the end of the day. And I can see why they want younger players to play, and they want to swap out players and make sure everybody's, happy and getting game time and stuff like that, and etc. But it's like, I remember my granddad saying to me once, just play your strongest 11. Just always play your strongest 11, no matter what game it is. Doesn't matter if you're against Chelsea, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, whatever, or freaking, I don't know, Yeovil Town in League 2 or whatever they're playing these days. Doesn't matter what team. Just always play your strongest 11. Just go for it. I can see how, if it is a lower division team, if it's like a cup game, you could want to change the squad, etc. like that. And the great thing about this is that it's just, in this day and age, to achieve something like this, what is their team worth? Something like 23 million or something. They have spent a bit of money, of course, like every team does every season. But it's like, you look at wasn't Chelsea's team last season worth like 200 million or something? Wasn't Man City's team worth something close to that? And what wasn't, I think there was talking about it on Sky Sports, and I think, wasn't United's team worth something like 170 million, something like that, when they won it in 2013? And it's like, to achieve what they've achieved with such a small budget and that, because money, for me, guys, right, money is ruining this game. It's a money focused industry now, I guess you could call it. It's all about the money. It's a money game. If you've got the money, you've got to be at the top. You've got to, you've got to have the best players. There's no excuses. And Leicester proved that there aren't no excuses. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't matter what team you've got. There's no excuses for your team to go out there now and and play badly. Do you know what I mean? There's just no excuses for it. And for me, it's like, it proves it. It proves it. You know what I mean? This is it. And I was watching the Chelsea game last night, and at the end of it, I felt like I could cry, guys. I really did. I didn't, but I felt like I could, because I just felt what a story this is to tell, to tell the kids, to tell the grandkids in God knows how many years' time. And it's just, yes, it's what we want to see. We have this sort of, I don't know, this passion to see the underdog win a lot, especially in England. You know what I mean? We always want to see the weaker team win, or the weaker team in quotation marks, guys. And it's just like, you know, I just don't get how it's happened, really. I mean, they were showing the story of Leicester was it last night? Or was it this morning? No, I think it was last night I was watching it. And they were relegated in 2008, I want to say, to League One. They got themselves back up. They spent a few years in the Championship. I remember that infamous game in the playoffs where they were against Watford, and I think they had a penalty right at the end of the game in the semi-final, pretty much to take them through to the playoff final. They missed it, and then Watford ran right up the other end of the field and buried a goal in, and it was one of the most like incredible matches you've ever seen in life. And and they've gone from that, you know, to eventually getting the promotion that they deserve, you know. And it's like, what was it? I'm pretty sure it was like sort of around early March last year. They had something like 17 points. 17 points. They were 20th in the Premier League. They were almost dead certain to be relegated any you know, within a few weeks. They just pulled it out of nowhere. And I don't know where all this has come from. You know what I mean? I can't explain that, because you look at Nigel Pearson and you think, well, what's he done or said or whatever to do that, you know what I mean? But he's gone now, and they've brought in Ranieri, and it's like, well, you know, what's happened there? Because they've even brought in a new manager, and they're still continuing to play and win after win. And I just, I can't wrap my head around it. I really don't, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's great. It really is great, you know what I mean, guys? And I don't know. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I was gonna buy a Leicester City shirt once, guys, and that's not because of what they've achieved this season. I did actually go to university in Leicester, believe it or not, a few years ago, and you know what I mean. I was like, you know, because I actually lived just down you could actually see the stadium from where I was living in my second year at uni. You could actually see it, and on a game night, you could actually hear the fans cheering and roaring and that from the window at in my like sort of apartment where I was living, and my accommodation, sorry, and you'd always see the fans walking down the street to the stadium. And I did actually have like a walk down there once to see the stadium, and I think it was. Yeah, I think it was like the sort of like the same month, or like the month after, it got renamed to King Power, because it used to be Walkers and it was renamed to King Power. And I remembered them. I think it was 2011. They had a pre-season game against Real Madrid, and I was going to go to it, but then I was like, I can't be bothered with that. Just, you know, and I was like, you know what I mean? That was really good. And I believe I went to one of the museums, I believe, in Leicester. And they've got like a little thing there that says that they played Real Madrid and all like that, and stuff like that. And I remember that. I can't remember what the museum was called. Yeah, you know. And then now that museum's going to be filled with all kinds of stuff now, guys. But it's incredible. It really is just insane. What's been achieved, you know what I mean? And you look at the players, you know what I mean? You look at the players. Vardy, you know, what was it? 2005, he was a factory worker, and now he's got 11 consecutive goals in the Premier League, and he holds that record. He could have been, I mean, there still is a chance he could be top goal scorer this season, and I hope he gets it, but, you know, it's probably more likely that Harry Kane will get it and steal it off him. But to go from that sort of 11 years ago to, you know, one of the top scorers in the Premier League and winning the actual trophy, it's just it's a story, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You look at this league and you think, to win the Premier League, you've got to play for United, you've got to play for either Manchester City, you've got to play for Chelsea, you've got to play for Spurs, you've got to play for Liverpool, etc., etc. You know what I mean? You've got to play for Arsenal. You've got to play for one of those teams to even have a chance of winning it, because you just automatically think nobody else is going to win it. You know what I mean? It's always going to be the big teams. And this proves that it doesn't have to be that way. You know what I mean? They've gone out and they've just, game after game, given it everything. And they fully, rightly deserve it. They do. They really do. And, you know, it's like, it's just what a story. You know what I mean? You look at Peter Schmeichel and that, and his son Kasper is now, well, he's the vice captain of Leicester. You know what I mean? He won it at United, and now his son's won it at Leicester. You know what I mean? It's like, what? It's just that must be such an incredible feeling. Do you know what I mean, to have? And then, you know what I mean? It's not just all these, you know, English players and that. You know, like, look at Mahrez, he's Algerian. Ajoa, who's Argentinian. Robert Hoof, German. Wes Morgan, Jamaican. Andy King's Welsh. Schlupp, who's from Ghana. Kante's French. Mark Schwarzer, I think he played for Chelsea the other year, didn't he? He's Australian. You know what I mean? Fuchs. Yeah, that's what he's Austrian. Whatever. And Shinji Okazaki, I tell you what, I really like Okazaki. Really good player. Alright, he's only scored something like 5 goals for Leicester. But I tell you what, he puts in the work and the effort, and that's the kind of the kind of player that you need in that team. You know what I mean? And then, of course, all the English players like Vardy, James Drinkwater, Moore, Simpson, etc. Albrighton, who he was playing for Villa the other year, guys, and they were all saying how good a player he's going to become eventually. And I didn't think that he would have ended up at Leicester. I thought, like, he was sort of, at the time, you sort of think that he was certain to play for a bigger, in quotation marks again, guys, club. You know, like, it might have gone to Liverpool or someone like that, I don't know. And, no, you know what I mean? This is a team of champions now. Do you know what I mean? This is a team of champions. Nathan Dyer is actually on loan from Swansea City. You know what I mean? He'll want to transfer to Leicester permanently now. You know, and it's just stuff like that. You know, they put in the hard work and effort to get where they are, and yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say today, guys. I'm gonna cut it here because we're coming up to half an hour, and I just want to say congratulations to Leicester. They really do deserve it, and there's no excuses now. You know what I mean? There's no excuses. Next season, I reckon all the and again, quotation marks, big teams like Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Man City, they'll be all stepping up next season because they won't want to see this happen again. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Anything. Well, to be honest, they'll look at it and say, well, anything's possible. Anything's possible, and we can do anything if we put our minds to it. You know what I mean? Why does it have to be? You know what I mean? Other teams like Burnley have just been promoted yesterday as well. And it's like, you know, they'll be looking at it and thinking, you know what, every time we've been in that Premier League, we've always come back down again in the first season. You know what I mean? Burnley will be like, you know what, we can do this. You know what I mean? It's not that difficult. You know what I mean? 40 points. You know what I mean? Leicester are after 40 points at first. They got to the 40 and thought, well, let's see how far we can take this. They got into Champions League. And it's like, yes, we're in Champions League now. You know what I mean? Because we've worked hard. You know what I mean? Let's not stop at 40. Let's push it all the way as far as we can. They get to Champions League. Now it's like, come on, let's go for the title now. Why not? We've got the best chance of doing it. You know what I mean? And I think there's just no excuse for teams to perform badly anymore. There really isn't. And it makes a difference. It makes a change. It feels like it's a new world today, guys. It really does. I know maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but it really does feel like today everything just feels like it's a new world and anything's possible. Do you know what I mean? So it's like when you play FIFA and you take a team from League 2 and you try to get them all the way to the top of the Premier League and get them into Europe and that, guys. It's like that has just become a reality. Thank you for watching this small video. Well, not really small video, but kind of longish video on my thoughts about that. So, yes, thank you for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and share as always. And I will see you guys in another video another time. Thanks for watching. Take care.